Red light therapy. It's everywhere right now. Instagram, YouTube, med spas, dermatology offices, even people's homes. But here's the real question. Is this actually helping people? Or is it just an expensive glowing wall? Stick with me until the end, because I'm going to break down what red light therapy actually does, what the research really says, and how to use it properly, and how to avoid wasting money on the wrong device. So first, what actually is red light therapy? See, at its core, it uses specific wavelengths of red and sometimes infrared light to support the body's natural repair, recovery, and anti-inflammatory processes. You might also hear the term photobiomodulation, which is just a more technical way of saying we're using light to influence how your cells function. And this part is important. This is not like UV light. See, overexposure to UV light damages tissue. Red light therapy is designed to do the opposite. It actually supports healing. So how does it actually work? Here's the simple version. The light penetrates into your tissue and gets absorbed by your cells, especially your mitochondria. And mitochondria are basically the cell's energy factories. When they receive the right light signal, research shows that they can produce energy more efficiently. They can improve cellular repair signaling, and they support circulation and help regulate inflammation. So instead of thinking of red light as heat or something that just works on the surface, think of it as a cellular energy signal. Now, before we talk about benefits or devices, we need to clear up the most confusing part of red light therapy, because this is where most people either overpay or end up buying something that doesn't work. So let's start with NM. This stands for nanometers, and it's simply how we measure the wavelength of light. So when you see something like 630 nanometers or 660 nanometers, 850 nm, etc., that's telling you what type of light is being used. Here's the key takeaway. Red light, which is typically in the 630 to 660 range, works more at the surface level, things like your skin and your scalp. Near infrared, on the other hand, usually in the 800 to 900 range, penetrates much deeper into muscles, joints, and tissues for recovery. That's why most high quality panels combine both. Now, let's talk about irradiance, because this is the most important spec. See, irradiance tells you how much light energy is actually reaching your body at a certain distance. In simple terms, how strong is the device when you are actually using it? See, two devices can both say 660 and 850 nanometers, but if one is weak and the other is strong, you're going to get two completely different results. And another big confusion point is the infrared versus near infrared. See, infrared is a broad category of light. Near infrared is just the portion of that spectrum that sits closest to the visible red light. See, in red light therapy, we're specifically using near infrared, not all infrared. Why does that matter? Because near infrared can penetrate deeper into tissue without turning into heat like far infrared does. So again, think of it simply. Red light works more on the surface. Near infrared reaches deeper tissues like joints and muscle. Now let's talk about what this actually helps with based on the research. So first of all, you type in photobiomodulation into PubMed, and there's over 1,100 research papers on the subject. Tons of scientific research overall. This isn't new. So one of the most studied areas is hair growth, especially androgenetic alopecia. So research from places like Stanford Medicine and multiple review studies show that low-level light therapy can stimulate hair follicles, especially by improving blood flow and cellular activity. But this is not overnight. So most studies show consistent use over months, not days. When it comes to wound healing and recovery, this is where things get really interesting. A study looking at 630 nanometers of red light showed increased collagen production, increased VEGF, which supports your blood vessel formation, and reduced inflammation markers. That's exactly what you want in a healing environment. There are also clinical trials showing red light can be used safely after procedures and may improve scar quality and overall healing outcomes. For scars, including C-section scars, the idea is the same. You're not erasing the scar, but you're supporting collagen remodeling, tissue repair, and inflammatory balance. The human research is still growing, But early data and clinical use are promising when used consistently. For skin and anti-aging, this is not about reversing aging overnight. The research shows improvements in skin texture, collagen density, complexion, and overall skin quality. So again, think support, not magic. Now here's something a lot of people don't realize. The effects of red light therapy are not always limited to the area you treat, because red light and near infrared influence mitochondrial activity. The benefits can show up in other areas. People use it for skin and notice better sleep. They'll use it for an injury and feel clearer mentally. There's even emerging research looking at how light may reduce inflammation in the brain, which could impact things like brain fog or mood, etc. So think of it like charging your battery. Once your energy improves, your body distributes that where it's needed. So how do you actually use it? For most at-home panels, we're looking at about 10 to 20 minutes per session, several times per week, for at least 8 to 12 weeks before judging the results. But here's the key. Dose matters. If the panel is weak or you're too far away, you're simply not getting enough. For skin, shorter and more frequent sessions tend to work well. For deeper tissues, though, near infrared and proper distance becomes much more important. In terms of safety, red light therapy is generally low risk, but it's not risk-free. You should consider eye protection with some panels, while some units have been proven safe for the eyes. But again, not all units are created equal. Be cautious during pregnancy unless cleared, and infants should not be treated without guidance. Other medical conditions should also be cleared by your doctor, such as cancer. Even though emerging research looks promising in being beneficial for some forms of cancer, we still want to be cautious and get clearance. Now let's talk about products, because this is where people get overwhelmed. What actually matters comes down to wavelength, irradiance, coverage, and consistency, not hype. When you look at something like the Juve brand, which has many different panel models, you are getting a premium full body device with red light and near infrared, along with features like Bluetooth and high output. It's polished and convenient, and you're paying a premium for that brand. The Mito Pro X series, which is another brand, it sits in a similar category. It's got really strong output, large coverage, designed for people who want more full body application. When comparing these types of panels, what you really want to focus on are the specs, the return policy, warranty, and how much of your body can be treated all at once. Then you have something like the Huga, the HG, or the Pro Series, which is more budget friendly. If you want solid specs without paying premium prices, this is often where people start. And then there are portable options and localized options like the DNA Vibe, which we really like and see really good results with from a healing standpoint. These make more sense if you're targeting one specific area, like the face, the neck, shoulders, back, knees, scalp, etc., etc. The trade-off is less coverage, but much easier with consistency. And you strap that one on, for example. If I were buying one for my family, I'd start with one question. What problem am I really trying to solve? If it's general wellness or full body recovery, a strong panel can make sense. But if it's acne, skin, or scar, or a small pain area, I wouldn't jump straight towards the biggest and most expensive device. My honest take is this. If you can afford it and you know you'll use it, a mid to high quality panel is worth considering for home use. And if you can't afford a panel, honestly, the best alternative is early morning sunlight. Use what you have. That might mean smaller devices, clinical treatments, and focusing on fundamentals like sleep, nutrition, and overall recovery. In our office, we use Theralite 360 Plus, a professional grade bed, because it gives us more control over dose and consistency. And it prevents scatter, which is the downside to all panels versus using this bed. See, scatter is the amount of light photons that bounce off of your body and don't penetrate the tissues. All in all, there are many well-documented benefits to photobiomodulation. So if I were simplifying this, I'd ask, what problem am I trying to solve? If it's full body recovery, a panel or bed might make sense. If it's one small area, don't overbuy. And always remember, consistency often beats brand hype. As always, do your research. We have ones we recommend linked below this video. So, here are a few simple things you can do right away before purchasing your new device. Get morning sunlight daily to help regulate your circadian rhythm. Focus on your sleep timing and support recovery. And make sure you're hydrating and moving because circulation plays a role in every healing process. Red light can support all of this, but it doesn't replace it. If you want to go deeper into how to restore your energy, reduce inflammation, and actually fix what's driving fatigue and brain fog, download our free energy reset guide below. That walks you step by step through the foundations your body actually needs with or without red light therapy.